Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making a French-inspired fresh tomato, Gruyere, and caramelized onion tart. Now I know that sounds a little bit fancy, but don't let it intimidate you. It is going to be so easy to make and so delicious. So let's get cooking. So for the crust, there are two ways you can make it. You can either do this in the food processor or you can do it by hand. Now, not everybody has a food processor, so I'm gonna show you the way to do it by hand. The first thing we're gonna need is a half a cup of frozen butter. And that's one stick. And now we're just gonna grate it up. And when you're done, it's gonna look like this, nice and finely shredded. And now we're gonna add 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour and 2 tablespoons of cornmeal. And now this is gonna give the crust a nice little texture. And then a half a teaspoon of salt. And now this is where your hands come in. You're gonna get in there and mix all the flour and butter until it resembles some fine crumbs. Now this took me about 2 minutes to incorporate the flour with the butter, and when you put it together, it's gonna stick like this. Now the next thing we're gonna add, and I know it sounds a little weird, but we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of vodka. Now this is just gonna make it extra flaky, and all the alcohol will cook out, so don't even worry about that. But if you don't have any vodka because you don't drink, just use 1 tablespoon of vinegar and it will do the same thing. And now we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of ice cold water. Now don't add everything all at once. We're just gonna start with maybe half and start mixing it. Because you can always add more water, but you can't take it away. Try not to get the ice cubes in there. And you just want to mix it till it comes into the shape of a ball and all the little pieces are incorporated, which it's starting to do. Okay, now as you can see, it formed a ball. So we are good to go. And now I'm gonna shape this into a disc and let it sit in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, so I'll be back. So our dough's been chilling about 30 minutes and I took it out of the refrigerator, and now we are gonna roll this into about a 12 to 14 inch diameter. And make sure you flour your board and put a little bit of flour on the top. And what I like to do is I just kind of like to add more flour to the board and then turn it a 1/4 turn each time I use the rolling pin. Because there's nothing worse than having your dough stick to the board. Now for the tart, we're going to be using this tart pan with a removable bottom, just like that. And then what you want to do is you want it to be about 1 inch past where the pan is. And now we're gonna put that inside. And what I like to do is fold it in quarters like that. Excuse our dog, she is in a mood today. And then put the corner in the middle and then just unfold the quarters. Now the next thing we're gonna do is press this into the pan, but we don't wanna force it. What we wanna do is gently gather the sides and put them in like that. Because if you force it, your pie dough is gonna shrink and we don't want that. So just carefully do that. And if you have any excess, we're just gonna trim that off, so don't even worry about that. And now we're just gonna do something called blind baking, where we're gonna take a piece of aluminum foil and put it inside like that. Because we partially wanna bake our crust so that it's nice and crispy. If we bake it raw, it's not gonna be as crispy. Now I like to use beans to weigh my crust down, but you can also buy these things called pie weights, like on Amazon. But this is like 99 cents for a bag of dried peas, and you can use them over and over again. And now we're gonna put this in a 350-degree oven for 20 to 30 minutes, or until the crust is starting to get a nice light brown. Now for the tart itself, we're gonna need about 6 vine-ripe tomatoes. And we're just gonna cut these into slices. And you want them to be pretty thin. So you want these to be really ripe, but you don't want them to be too mushy.
How many tomatoes does it take?
It's gonna take about 6 tomatoes, depending on the size, but these are about medium size. Of course, if you have larger ones, it may only take 4. And now what you're gonna wanna do next is take the tomatoes and place them on some paper towels, because we don't want too much liquid from them, because that's gonna make our tart soggy.
We're running out of room.
I know. Oops. And then we're just gonna get another layer of paper towels and blot the top. Now the next 2 key ingredients in our tart is going to be caramelized onions. Now, I didn't think you wanted to see me cook these for 30 minutes, so I just made them ahead of time, and if you wanna see how to make them, you can go to my caramelized onion and what is it called? Blue cheese puff pastry bites. And I'll show you exactly how I did it, but I did show a little clip of the stages of this so you can see that. But it's gonna take about 20 to 25 minutes for them to get this color. And I just put 1 extra large onion and I sliced it thin, and I put it in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and I just let it cook very slowly. I added a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, and a splash of sherry wine. Now the sherry wine is optional.
Sherry and vodka?
I know, it's like a boozy tart today, but it'll give it a nice flavor. And now our next key ingredient is gonna be 2 cups of freshly grated Gruyere cheese. And this is a type of Swiss cheese that they have in France, and it goes perfectly with this tart. Now you could substitute a different cheese like Monterey Jack or something, but it's not gonna have the same flavor. So I know this is a little pricey, but splurge on it because it makes all the difference. So this is 4 to 5 ounces that I've grated to make 2 cups. Okay, now we're just gonna wait for that crust to finish cooking in the oven, and then we'll assemble our tart. So our tart shell was baking in the oven for 30 minutes, and I took it out, and as you can see, it's just starting to get a very light brown, and that's what you want, because it's gonna finish cooking when we bake the tart. So the next step we're gonna do is add the shredded Gruyere cheese. And now this is sort of gonna act like a barrier between the crust and the onions so that they won't get soggy. It's sort of like cheese glue. Cheese glue. So just spread that evenly around.
More vodka?
No more vodka. Okay, and now we're gonna take our yummy caramelized onions and we're gonna add those to the tart. You guys, these are so good. They're great to put on top of steak or chicken. I just love them. Do you like them, Chris?
They're okay.
He likes them. Remember when I made those French onion pork chops?
With blue cheese?
That was good. No, that wasn't with blue cheese. That was the pork tenderloin. Remember when I made the French onion ones with the, okay. I have a video if you guys want to watch it. It's French onion pork chops, so go check it out. Now we're gonna add our sliced tomatoes. And just slightly overlap them. Aren't you gonna say, do I have enough tomatoes? Who wants to guess if we have enough tomatoes?
I think it's enough.
Yeah, it's definitely enough. Okay, this is all we had left. And now we are gonna drizzle this with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil.
With vodka?
No vodka. It's about 2 tablespoons. And we're gonna sprinkle it with a little bit of salt and a little bit of dried thyme. Now we're gonna place this back in our 350-degree oven, and we're gonna cook this for 40 to 45 minutes or until the tomatoes get nice and soft and start to brown. And we'll be back. Okay guys, it's been 40 minutes and I took our tart out of the oven. And now the hardest part about this whole thing is waiting for it to cool before you cut it. So definitely let it cool off for at least 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I am just gonna put a tiny bit of fresh chopped parsley over the top just to make it look pretty. And don't put too much.
Look at those basil.
Oh, oops, yes. It's basil, not parsley, but you could also do parsley. Yes, it's our chiffonade of basil. So yes, you can either do parsley or basil, but just a little bit, just to give it a nice little color. And there you have it. So we are gonna let it sit for 30 to 60 minutes. I'll cut a slice and let you know how it tastes.
Chiffonade.
And now to take the tart out of the pan, all we're gonna do is place it on top of a bowl. And then, see? The sides just come right off. And now I'm just gonna put it on a plate. Okay guys, let's cut a little slice and give it a try. Now I'll be honest, I didn't let it cool for probably as long as I should have, so if I don't get a good slice, it's because it's still too hot. But it's still gonna taste good. Yum. Okay, here we go. Oh, I could tell by cutting into the crust that it's nice and crisp on the bottom. It's so good. You get the very crisp, buttery crust. You get the sweetness of the caramelized onions, and then you get a little tartness from the tomatoes. It is so good, you guys. It's really good warm, but it would also be great at room temperature. So you don't have to worry about heating it if you're gonna serve it to guests. So I hope you guys are gonna give this a try. It is so good. And it's like a taste of summer with the fresh tomatoes. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, I sure would appreciate it. Just hit that little red button down there, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye, everybody.